Lady C just revealed one of the biggest royal mysteries that was never meant to reach daylight. A sentence that just sent Buckingham Palace trembling. Because according to Lady C, the story everyone thought they knew about Archie may not be the story at all. She hints at something explosive, something Meghan Markle would never want repeated out loud. Archie lives in the UK with his mom. Not Meghan. Not in Montecito. Not in the bright sunshine of their American estate. But in Britain with his mom, who isn't Meghan. With either Archie or Lily. And it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter, and their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country. All Harry and Meghan need to do is prove to us that she popped those babies out. And suddenly Meghan's tight smile, her public calm, her carefully controlled image all begin to crack around the edges. Because if even a piece of this claim is true, then nothing about the last 5 years makes sense anymore. This is where our story begins with a single question that refuses to go away. Where is Archie really? And why is this the one topic that seems to make Meghan panic? Now, let's step into the heart of this expose. There are stories that die quickly. And then there are stories that grow stronger each time someone tries to bury them. This one sits firmly in the second category. According to several quiet sources, away from the cameras and the press releases, Archie may not be living in America at all. Instead, whispers say he's growing up quietly in the United Kingdom in a normal home with a woman who is described not as a nanny, not as a caretaker, but as his mother. This chapter doesn't ask you to believe the story. It only invites you to step into the mystery. Why would anyone insist Archie is in the UK unless something pushed that idea into existence? And that leads us to the one place where every secret begins to crack: the timeline. If you want to understand a royal mystery, you start with the calendar. Dates do not lie. And in this case, the dates raise more questions than they answer. Harry and Meghan married on May 19, 2018. Archie's date of birth was announced as May 6, 2019. That means his conception likely happened around August 2018, only 3 months after the wedding. Now, normally this would be simple math, but when applied to the dynamics inside the Sussex marriage, the math becomes something else entirely. Because August 2018 wasn't just any time in their relationship, it was the golden period, the romantic beginning, the emotionally intense stage where Meghan allegedly had full control of Harry's attention and time. According to psychological sources familiar with relationships like this, a partner in Meghan's position would be glued to Harry emotionally, physically present most of the day, deeply involved in every part of his life, and especially protective of him in the early stages. So, the question becomes, if Meghan and Harry were inseparable at that time, how could another woman appear in the picture at all? The timeline tightens the mystery rather than solving it. It leaves a small doorway open, a thin window of possibility where something may have happened, something not meant to be seen. This is why the next part of this expose becomes so important. It's here that we explore the very claim that ignited this entire fire. The idea that Archie remained in the United Kingdom because he was never meant to leave. Once you step inside this claim, the story takes on a new shape. Not loud, not dramatic, but quietly unsettling. The scenario goes like this. Allegedly, the child the world was introduced to as Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor may not have been raised by Meghan in California at all. Instead, some say Archie stayed with a British woman described only as the mother who never traveled to the United States with him. In this version of events, Harry returns to Britain not only for court cases, not only for charity duties, and not for nostalgia. He returns because his child is there. This idea explains many things people have struggled to understand. Why Harry often appears tense when discussing the UK. Why he seems pulled between two worlds. Why his trips are frequent, short, and often shielded. Why certain milestones have never been shown publicly. Sources suggest that Harry may be navigating a quiet, private tug-of-war. A battle between the life he expected to live and the life that unfolded instead. And Meghan, well, she wasn't meant to be replaced in the narrative. Not by another woman, not by another mother, not by a child who wasn't physically in her home. Which is where the story deepens, because if Archie truly lives in the UK, the story of why can only begin in one of two places. And both options are explosive. This is where the best part of this expose, the origins, begins. Because according to one interpretation of events, Archie's existence in the United Kingdom could point to something far more explosive. The possibility that Harry fathered a child with someone else. Now, let's be clear. This is only a scenario, but it is a scenario that perfectly mirrors the one fear Meghan could never tolerate. Not betrayal, not embarrassment, but replacement. Imagine the emotional earthquake this would cause. Sources explain that for someone with Meghan's personality patterns, Harry having a child with another woman is not just cheating. It is an unforgivable wound. It would feel like he chose another woman over her. He created a story without her. He formed a bond she had no control over. And worst of all, it happened right after the wedding. This is the kind of injury that usually ends relationships. Not quietly, not gently, but with fire. Yet, that didn't happen. Meghan did not leave. She did not expose him. She did not distance herself. Instead, she stayed. And that is where the story ends. Because if this scenario were true, Meghan's decision to remain married would not be about love at all. It would be about power. To understand why Meghan might stay after such a betrayal, you must understand what staying would give her. According to sources who analyze these dynamics, a situation like this becomes a goldmine of leverage. Meghan would suddenly possess something far more useful than anger, a secret she could use for the rest of her life. By staying married, she would keep the royal status, the global platform, the financial advantages, the proximity to a prince, and the ability to privately control the narrative. But more importantly, she would hold something over Harry that could never truly disappear. I know what you did. In this view, Meghan wouldn't stay in spite of the betrayal. She would stay because of the power it gives her. She could set the rules. She could dictate the terms. She could remind him at any moment what he stands to lose. And the alleged arrangement would be simple. I will stay. I will raise the child as ours. But from this moment on, you answer to me. This dynamic transforms the marriage into something very different. Not a romantic partnership, but a silent negotiation built on fear and control. But this is only one path the story could take. Sources introduce a second scenario. One without cheating, yet just as complicated. And that is where the story shifts into the second possible origin of Archie, a UK surrogate who never handed him over. In this version of events, nothing scandalous happened between Harry and another woman. There was no secret affair, no betrayal, no shocking personal wound for Meghan. Instead, the story starts with a simple clinical arrangement, a surrogate, a pregnancy, a plan. According to this scenario, a UK-based surrogate may have carried Archie with full approval from both Harry and Meghan. Everything would have been organized, expected, controlled until it wasn't. Because in this version, the surrogate made a decision no one saw coming. She kept the child. Suddenly, the story changes shape again. There is no infidelity. There is no betrayal. But there is still a child in the United Kingdom. A child Harry is biologically connected to and a child Meghan has no emotional attachment toward. And here is where the psychological dynamics deepen. For Meghan, a child she did not carry, did not bond with, and does not physically raise offers no emotional value, no strategic value, no personal meaning. Without emotional empathy, the child becomes, in her eyes, irrelevant. But for Harry, it's different. To him, this child is not a negotiation tool, not a political problem, not a burden. He is his son, and that creates a conflict far more subtle and far more painful. Harry wants connection, Meghan wants control. In this scenario, Meghan would not fight for the child, but she would fight to control Harry's access to him. Every visit becomes a negotiation. Every trip to the UK becomes a reminder of her power. And in both scenarios, the infidelity version and the surrogate version, the same result remains. Archie stays in the United Kingdom. Harry returns to see him. Meghan controls the terms. And that leads us directly into the next part of our story, where the illusion, the contradictions, and the final haunting questions reveal themselves. If Archie's true home is the UK, then the moments, images, and short video clips we've seen of a child in America suddenly become far more mysterious. According to quiet behind-the-scenes interpretations, there are 3 explanations. None of them simple, none of them ordinary. Possibility 1, a child actor. Some allege that another child close in age and appearance may be used for controlled moments. A substitute who appears in brief footage or limited angles. This would allow Meghan to maintain the family image without exposing the truth. Possibility 2, another family's child. In more practical terms, Sources suggest Meghan may simply use a trusted friend's child for certain scenes. A toddler is easy to disguise with hats, turned backs, quick movements, or distant camera shots. Possibility 3. Digital editing. The most unsettling scenario involves photography and digital tools. Some claim Harry may take photos of the real child during UK visits, and those images are later inserted into scenes that appear to be Montecito, Mexico, or other locations. No matter which scenario one believes, the same logical thread emerges. If the real Archie is in Britain, then every image shown in America must be constructed, borrowed, or carefully staged. This is the moment in the story where the world feels upside down because nothing is as simple as it appears, and the contradictions start piling up. When a story refuses to die, it's usually because too many things don't make sense all at once. This chapter isn't about proving anything. It's about acknowledging the oddities, the quiet, loose ends that never truly tie together. Why show a child in California at all if Meghan doesn't care about him? Why go through the trouble of substitutes or edited photos? Why risk discovery when silence would be easier? Why present Archie as a part of their American family while the timeline, emotional motives, and behind-the-scenes logic hint at the opposite? And why, despite endless opportunities, has the world never seen a natural family outing, a candid photo, an unscripted moment, or an unquestionable appearance of Archie in California? Every time the story seems to settle, something tilts again. A detail shifts. A date doesn't align. A photo looks too staged. A behavior seems too controlled. A trip to the UK happens at exactly the wrong moment. These contradictions don't tell the full story, but they keep the mystery breathing. And that brings us to our final chapter. A chapter not about proof, but about presence. About the quiet sense that something is missing or someone is missing in the world's most public family. This ending is where everything comes together. Every royal story has two versions, the one the world is told and the one that moves in the dark, just out of reach. And when it comes to Archie, the shadows speak louder than the sunlight ever has. Because if even a part of this story is true, if Archie really is in the United Kingdom, living a quiet life with the woman who brought him into the world, then everything changes. It changes the meaning of Harry's sudden trips across the ocean. It changes the silence around Archie's childhood. It changes Meghan's careful control over the family's image. It changes the last 5 years of headlines, interviews, and staged footage. But most of all, it changes the understanding of a prince who may be living two lives at once. One in the spotlight crafted for the world, and one in the shadows kept for a child he couldn't bring home. Picture it. A small British town. A quiet house. A boy with red hair running across a garden, unaware of the storm that surrounds his name. A father who arrives without cameras, spending hours he cannot post, taking photos he cannot share. And a woman, the mother, keeping the child's world peaceful, while the rest of the globe argues over a story she never asked to be part of. In another country, Meghan continues her rise, building brands, shaping narratives, designing the life she always believed she deserved. A life where a distant child offers neither emotional comfort nor advantage. Two worlds, one secret, 1,000 questions. And somewhere between them lies the truth about Archie. Not yet spoken, not yet exposed, but always waiting. Because truths like these don't stay buried forever. They hover in the air. They echo in interviews. They slip through cracks and perfectly rehearsed stories. And one day, whether by accident or by courage, the truth steps forward. Until then, this mystery remains exactly what it has always been. A royal shadow drifting between two continents. A child whose story has never been fully told. And a question the world continues to whisper. Where is Archie? And why has no one answered?